Good evening, everyone. Yehudis, if you hear me, I don't see you. I don't see you and I don't hear you. Welcome to a family meeting with Curious Neuron. I am Cindy Hovington, the host of this webinar and the founder of Curious Neuron. For those of you who are new, wait, I'm just going to make sure that Yehudis, if you hear me, I don't see you. So let's just see if anybody is online. So 12 of you are here. Say hello in the chat box. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on how your day went. For me, it was a thumbs halfway. This is a family meeting, and usually we have these family meetings on Mondays. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Oh, good. Okay, I just had to turn it on.
And now I don't hear you. I don't hear it.
Now?
Yes, good, thank you. All right. So for those of you who are new to family meetings, we usually have these on Monday evenings at 8:30. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Patrick. Welcome. Oh yeah, Patrick. And what we usually do is we like to chit chat about a topic. I'll give usually my 3 tips about something, but now for the past 2 weeks, I've been trying something a little different. I've been having a special guest to join us, and our special guest tonight is Yehudis Smith, who is the author of Rethinking Discipline, a book that I had the pleasure of reading, and I can't wait for her to share her advice with us tonight. So hi, Chrissy. Hi, Laura. Hi, Sabrina, Kathy, thank you all for joining. If you have to leave and your baby wakes up or your child isn't sleeping yet, like my 3 upstairs, then you could leave and come back. And if we're not here anymore, I'll be sending you the replay link. So don't worry about that. And also, I'll be creating a blog post on our website and a YouTube video from this webinar. So, this information will be out there for you to listen to. And I know that there'll be a lot of actionable tips. I've been applying a lot of information that I've learned from Yehudis. So I think you will learn some as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Hi,
everybody. I'm looking at everyone's names here. I'll never, ever remember them. No. But I can see them in the chat.
And, I'm glad that you're joining us on this family meeting. So, part of this is because we come together as a community, whether we have children or work with children, just to discuss development, to discuss parenting, how to deal with children, to discuss some of our highs and lows of the week. And you know what? Discipline is something that keeps coming up all the time. So let's get started with our topic. Hi, Marilena. So let's get started now. Let's take a situation. So the only thing I could think of, because my kids are 1, 3, and 5, is when I ask them to put toys away. Today we're talking about repeating ourselves and our kids not listening. So for everybody who's here, why don't you write in the chat a situation that you feel just keeps coming up and that you keep repeating yourself over and over again. And we'll try to choose one of these, because that's the situation. We're going to take it as a scenario and we're going to walk you through it. And that's what I'd like to learn tonight from you too, because, I think as a parent, we get frustrated. We keep repeating ourselves over, and that's sort of one of our, triggers, that you feel your heart racing, you're repeating yourself. Okay, so here we have, Kathleen has her notepad ready. Good. That's good. I think she's probably been part of these family meetings. Yes, so somebody said bedtime. Oh, yes. Oh, I don't see you anymore.
Oh, gosh. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
1 second. I don't know. Okay, well, you can hear me.
Yeah, I'll read it out loud. Yeah. So then cleaning up toys. Another person said bedtime. Not listening when I've said good night, and they keep coming out of bed. Yes. Oh, I feel you. I literally have all 3 upstairs awake right now. So yeah, I feel you for that. Oh, not eating their food. That's a good one too.
Gosh, so many good ones.
Yeah, do you want to turn your camera on and off, maybe, just to see?
Yeah, it's not even letting me do that. So I am going to just, this is strange.
You could try even while I read these. Oh, just discipline in general. So if you want, or you can click log out and then click the link.
Let me come in. Yeah. You read through those, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come back. I'll go out in a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we have Stephanie says during transitions. That's a good one too. When is it time to come inside? When it's time to come inside or clean up, finish dinner. That's a really good one. 3-year-olds, stop doing that. Annoying or dangerous or hurting your sister. Yes, hitting siblings when unhappy. So this is what, okay, I'm going to have to choose one of these, or maybe I'll let her choose. But this, yes, Sabrina, for discipline in general, and all of you listening, I really strongly suggest the book. I just finished reading her book, Rethinking Discipline, and it's one of those books that I've been able to go back to when I'm in a certain situation and apply all her tips. Patrick says we have the same issues with right now, so we're all experiencing that too. I'm experiencing the same thing with my 3-year-old, which is why I wanted to hear her advice. This is part of discipline, and she's back. Oh, okay, I hear you. I see that you're on. Okay, perfect. So let's choose one, and then I'll let you go at it. So a lot of people are saying sleep or transitions, finishing dinner. Let's see. Kathy said she pre-ordered your book. Yeah, so brushing teeth, putting toys away. Which one would you like to choose?
Okay, so let's start with the toys, just because that is fresh in my mind, because I just had this issue with my 3-year-old like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Definitely talk about this. But first of all, I just want to, before we start, I want to kind of touch on the topic of self-regulation for us.
Yes, please.
Of course, as parents, we are so triggered and also just exhausted when we're dealing with these kinds of issues. So first of all, just to say, it is so normal to get worked up, and it's normal to want to pull your hair out. So I just want to put that out there, because the guilt we feel afterwards is so intense that we beat ourselves up. So number one, and I think that the most important thing for that, and this is like, I think an entire section of the book in and of itself, is how to self-regulate, how to get yourself through. I see someone wrote that to me every day. How to get yourself out of that. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, because that is, like I said, a topic in and of itself. But I just want everyone to know that that part is so, like, we all go through that. I mean, I did that 2 hours ago, like I said.
Yeah.
But once you have centered yourself, once you have taken those deep breaths and you're ready to communicate, and you have gone through some semblance of self-regulation, then for me, at least, what has always been helpful is to start off the conversation with what I like to refer to as describing mindfully. And what I mean by that is looking at what's happening with your child and saying calmly, describing exactly what you see. So that sounds like a little bit vague. I can give you an example. So let's say I say to my child, it's time to clean up. Clean up now. Just clean up.
Yeah.
My child continues to play, okay, like he was doing today. So when I look at him, I take a deep breath and I say, I see that you are really enjoying playing with tiles. Or, wow, you just built this big tower. Just describing something that I see in a calm way that communicates to my child, I'm with you. I see that this is something that's important to you, because usually that's what it comes down to. And I'm going to choose some sort of positive motivation.
Got it.
Doing what you're doing, instead of looking at what this child's doing and saying to myself, like, oh my God, this kid's trying to just drive me up the wall. Breath, and I'm going to think to myself, okay, if I was this 3-year-old child, why would I maybe not want to clean up right now? Whatever comes into my mind, maybe it's, oh, I'm working really hard on this one particular castle. I was waiting all day to play and I finally got the chance and now I don't want to clean up. And to kind of use that positive, what we call positive intent, in describing what the child is doing in that moment. So when you open up the conversation with that, then the child is kind of put in a place of, oh, she gets me. She's not here to ruin my life, No,
we're not.
We don't like to shut down, because a lot of times when we come at it from this perspective of like, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, even if that's what we feel, and I get that. Like I said, I was just there. But when we come at it from that place, oftentimes the child's brain just kind of shuts down. And then it becomes a real battle of the wills. You know what I mean? So to open it with that, like, I get you.
Yeah. Can we take that and just look at the other examples just for this part? Because I'm curious, how would you apply that to a child who doesn't want to go to bed, or they keep getting up, or they don't want to eat, and you're repeating yourself? Just because I get the playtime part of it, they're having fun. Bedtime, they just don't want to go to bed. So how do you do that positive intent?
Right. And before I answer that, because I'm seeing some of the comments, just so that you know, this is the step one. So we're not yet. I'm not saying to have this perspective and then allow them to continue.
No, yeah.
But okay, so let's say a child doesn't want to go to sleep. Keeps getting up, coming into your room. The way you would maybe use this perspective would be to say, you're really excited about school tomorrow. I can see. So you're having a hard time going to sleep. Or,
Got it.
Wow, you had such a fun day today. You just are having a hard time relaxing in your bed.
Got it.
Talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And by the way, you could be making it up. It could be that that's not the case at all. But it doesn't matter, because what you're communicating to the child is, I'm not here to fight with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not against each other.
Yeah.
We're on the same team here, and I get you.
Yeah.
Then the next step would obviously be to set the next limit, and we'll get to that in a minute. But just to open it with that perspective of, you're not finished. What was the other one? Eating the food?
Yeah, eating. They're not eating. Yeah.
You're not eating, or like, you were maybe really hoping, I noticed that you liked the pizza that we had yesterday. Maybe you were really hoping that we were going to have pizza tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give pizza.
It's a nice way to connect. You're not going to get it, but at least you're connecting with them at that point.
Yeah, and we talk about the brain a lot, and in this book, I always bring it back to the brain, and I know you and I talk about the brain a lot.
Yeah.
All of this really comes down, the brain is so important here, because when a child feels like that battle of the wills, mm-hmm. they're going to fight the same way as we do when we feel it from them.
Yeah.
So as long as you're communicating to them that I understand you, I understand you, then they're going to be more likely to kind of open up and be receptive to whatever comes next.
Got it.
You know
Yeah. So then what comes next after now you've said positive? Yeah.
After that, so the first thing would be that describe mindfully in a positive way, positive intent, as we call it. And you kind of can just guess and make it up, why do I think my child's acting like this? And the number 2 would be to set the limit. So set the expectation. So what that would sound like would be, I can see you working really hard on this castle, so you're not ready to clean up yet, but it's time to clean up because we have a long day tomorrow and we have to make sure that all the toys are put away so we can go to bed. So what that does is, okay, I get you, I understand you, but now I'm going to tell you assertively, not going to speak out, and I'm not going to be passive in my words.
Got it.
Assertively say, this is the limit. This is what I expect from you now. So, for example, let's think of maybe not going to sleep.
Yeah.
So your child keeps coming out of their bed, which I think my child is doing right now. I keep hearing the door opening. And you say, you're really, you had a lot going on today and you really wanted to continue talking about it, right? But then you say, but in order for you to be able to take on the day tomorrow, your body has to be rested. It's time to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Assertive way of saying it. And the assertive, when I speak about assertive, it's kind of like you're talking about the weather outside. There's no emotion in what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what it is, calm, cool, collected. It's time to go to sleep. There's never a question, a lot of times, are you ready to go to sleep?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And when there's a question mark at the end, are you ready to eat your dinner?
Nope.
The child's brain thinks, I have a choice. And they don't even realize that they think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So step number 2 is that it's setting that limit or that expectation in an assertive way. So you start off with that positive intent, that describing mindfully what's happening. Mm-hmm. Then you move to assertively setting your limit. It's time to clean up now. If we don't clean up, then someone's going to trip and fall.
Got it.
Time to clean up now.
Would you say that it's a dangerous thing to do to kind of give up as a parent, right? Because sometimes you feel that in one day you've said, pick up your toys, pick up your toys. And then at some point you're like, I'm going to do it myself because nobody's listening to me. Would you say that that's something we need to avoid?
If possible. I mean, again, we all have our moments where
I'm not
going to fight. I'm just, because again, nothing is foolproof. Nothing is going to work at the time. And there are going to be times where you're going to have to say, you know what, I give up today. Today was just not my day. Tomorrow's is going to be a better day. But I would say for the overall idea to go to set that limit and then kind of renege on it and do it yourself, then you've lost your your place a little bit. But I do think that there is a place for, well, I'll get to the next part. The next kind of get into that. But does that make sense? I'm trying to think, does that apply to the other scenarios as well?
I'm looking here. I saw transitions come up a few times. So maybe with younger kids, 2, 3, 4-year-olds, or even somebody asked, how young can you apply what you're talking about?
Oh, that's a great question. So it can be from the time that the child can understand and process what you have to say. This is something that, as long as it's said on their level, like, for example, you're never going to say to an 18-month-old, clean up everything right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe doesn't understand that, doesn't have the capacity. But what you might say to an 18-month-old is, it's time to clean up. You and mommy are going to put away the red blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning to involve them in that.
Got it.
That as long as it's something that's appropriate, like you're not going to expect an 18-month-old to clean up the entire room.
No, I wish. No.
There, but yeah. So yeah, I see someone's so hitting siblings.
So something that I guess that would be, you're repeating yourself about the rule being not hitting, and then I guess that rule is not being applied, or that boundary is not being followed. Would that fall in the category of somebody not listening, or is that a different type of discipline?
Yeah, I mean, of course, ultimately, any kind of misbehavior would fall in the category. But I would say that when it comes to conflict resolution, when it comes to sibling rivalry or peer rivalry or anything like that, all of this applies, but it's framed a little differently. That would be a class in and of itself. How to handle the sibling rivalry, how to handle physical aggression. You know what I mean? All that stuff. A lot of these ideas would apply, yes, but it would be framed differently. So I don't know if you want to go there, because then
for Kathy, just for tonight, we're gonna have another webinar, I'm sure, on that. And actually, something's coming up with Curious Neuron, and there's an answer exactly to your question. But for now, I want to focus on what you do when you keep repeating yourselves on certain things that are not very serious, but those little, like, picking up toys and eating and then going to bed. Thanks. Sorry, Kathy. Okay, so now,
you're asking about consequences, which is going to come in a minute after I
got it.
So we spoke about the describe mindfully with positive intent. We spoke about using your assertive voice to set limits. But what happens when you do that and the child's still telling you no? Because that's going to happen, as it does sometimes. So conscious parenting, which of course in general takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more time, a little bit more development. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But one thing that we speak about a lot is giving 2 positive choices. And what I mean by 2 positive choices is this. A little bit of background is that most children, whether they're 2 years old or 18 years old, 17 years old, 16 years old, whatever, they're usually not listening for all the same reasons, which is, I want to have my own autonomy.
Yes.
I want to have my own independence.
Yeah.
I want to have my own freedom, right? Same whether they're 2 or whether they're 16.
Yeah.
So by giving them something known as positive choices, you are therefore satisfying that desire for autonomy, but getting what you want at the same time. So positive choices would be something like, it's time to clean up. You have a choice. You can either clean up the magnet tiles first, or go over here and you can clean up the blocks first. Or you can say something more fun, like, we need to go to the bath now. You can skip to the bath, or you can hop like a bunny to the bath. Both lead to the bath.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, many children just want that feeling of having a choice in the matter. You're giving them that choice, but the choices really ultimately, lead to the same end. Then many children will be satisfied by that. Not all the time, of course.
Yeah, I'm thinking bedtime might be harder. At bedtime, if you say, okay, you can read 1 book and then go to bed, or 2 books, or whatever it is, and then your child just keeps wanting more and more because they're avoiding going to bed, and then they want water, and then they want a snack, and then they want.
So it does come back to the assertiveness of positive choices. Doesn't just mean you can either read 1 book or 10 books. It just may mean you can either read Chicka Chicka Boom Boom or you can read, Brown Bear, Brown Bear.
Oh my God, I read both those books today. Are you in my house?
Thinking those are like the popular choices.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
and then oftentimes it does have to lead to something known as consequences, because it's not going to be enough. A child is going to say no, and I see that here. Consequences, timeouts, or punishments, yes or no. And and I know you and I, in various ways in the past, have spoken about the differences between consequences and punishment.
For those of you interested in hearing a lot more about that, on iTunes, there's my last podcast is about discipline, and I had a chat with her about this. So there's a lot more information about. But can you just give us? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So on one foot, the difference between consequences and punishments, and we use them interchangeably often.
We do, yeah.
The main difference between the two is punishments seek to assert control, meaning I'm going to put my child in her place so she knows she has to listen to me.
Yeah.
That's the goal of a punishment. It's usually not connected or relevant to the crime. A consequence is a teaching of a missing skill. When a child acts out, 9 times out of 10, it's because the child is missing a skill in that moment. So even if it's just handling the disappointment of having to clean up when you don't want to, or whatever it is, a consequence is then directly connected to whatever the behavior was. So for example, if a child doesn't want to clean up, that's the behavior that we're dealing with. Then the consequence can be, you know what? If you cannot clean up when I tell you to, then I'm going to have to you won't be able to play with these toys.
Got it.
What you're communicating there is, I'm giving you the opportunity to use these toys. You're showing me, based on your choices, that you're not ready to do that yet.
Yeah.
So in this case, I have to take them away. As opposed to a punishment, which would be, oh, you're not cleaning up your toys, no TV for a week.
Yeah. There's no link. Got it.
At all. And therefore, there's no link in their brain. So the behavior that you're trying to have encoded in their brain is not actually connecting to the consequence or the punishment. So
I find the consequence part really difficult sometimes when the child is not listening to some of these things that are not as not important, but like hitting. Let's say it's easy to say, okay, whatever the consequence is, versus, let's say, not eating or struggling with transitions when you keep repeating yourself over and over again, or trying to go to bed. How would you apply this sort of consequence that's directly related to those situations?
Yes. So a lot of times it wouldn't necessarily be called a consequence. The consequence is not appropriate in every single situation. If a child is having a hard time transitioning, do you really want to give that consequence for this? You would likely tell the child, it seems that you are having a hard time doing this. I'm going to help you. And what I mean to help you is I'm going to pick you up and put you in the bath. So it becomes a matter of, so for example, with a little child, if a child doesn't want to clean up, even if it's a matter of cleaning up, what I had to say to my child, who's very strong-willed, is I had to say to him, okay, this is your choice. You can either clean up. You can either clean up this or this. He's like, no, not having it. So I said to him, you know what? I can see that you are choosing for me to help you with your body. And what I had to do is something that's known as hand over hand, where I had to take his hand and physically clean up those toys with his hand, which of course I not like. And it happens to be that most kids don't want their bodies controlled by you. Yeah. So that threat, and I hate using that word, but that kind of consequence of in the moment, a lot of times is actually strong enough to get them to say, no, I'll do it myself.
Got it. Interesting.
I don't want you controlling me. So you only usually have to do it once. And then oftentimes the next time you say, oh, are you choosing for me to help you with your body? They're like, no.
And that really does work. For me, my kids would struggle with, let's say we were leaving the car and had to come into the house. They just wanted to stay outside. And I applied that in terms of, either you walk into the house on your own, or I'll pick you up and bring you into the house. I did it twice for both my kids, and they never did it again. They were like, no, I want to walk in myself.
You see how that's directly connected. So what you're doing is, it's a consequence in the moment. Consequence doesn't have to be something that's going to last forever, like, oh, you're not going to watch TV for a week, especially for a child. But even for an older child, it can just be in this moment, showing me that you are not making the right choice. I'm going to have to help you. And it works. I've done it in the classroom before. I mean, not another person's child, but I'm saying the concept of you're showing me with your choices that you need help here.
I love that phrase, that you're showing me with your choices that I need to help. I really like that. We should write that down. We're going to write that down on the sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're not, there's no attack. I'm not telling you you're a terrible kid. I'm just telling you that because this is what cause and effect is. We're trying to teach something. Consequence meets for teeth. Does that work for a 5-year-old? Yes. I would say 5-year-old is a perfect age for something like this, because a 5-year-old is right at that point where they're starting to understand cause and effect. Like from a developmental perspective, they get it. My choices are going to cause see. So Patrick, I would say yes, 5-year-olds, absolutely.
And what about the opposite? So Marilena mentioned something interesting in terms of rewards. So let's say you're like, pick up your toys or clean your room. Okay, you know what? If you clean your room, I'll give you, whether it's a chart, you'll get a sticker, or you can get a lollipop today. Or what about the opposite of that? How would that change things?
I would say that rewards are really like in that moment, they seem successful. Like you're like, oh, I'm going to give you a reward. They're like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. The problem is you're not actually teaching them the intrinsic value of doing what you say. So what it does is it may help in that moment, but then the next time you may battle again and again and again. So what I like to do, and actually the last thing, because I have my little notes here so I wouldn't forget, the last thing that I talk about is when a child does make the positive choices, when the child is doing what you ask, is listening, then you celebrate it.
Yeah.
It is like you didn't just fight with them for 45 minutes. So it's like a celebration, and I'll tell you what that looks like in a minute, but that celebration, according to studies have shown that celebrating children's right choices, good choices, are actually more likely to cause that future behavior, that continuation. So
you're activating the reward part of the brain that makes you feel good, that gives you that sort of exactly. So for the kids getting that sort of good feeling, they're going to do it again because they know that they're going to get that happy feeling again when they do that.
And by the way, it's so easy because celebrating, all it looks like is, wow, you cleaned up. That's it. It's way to go. You did it.
Yeah.
For them, in that moment, it was really difficult for them.
Yeah.
That's why they fought you. So by afterwards, even after going back and forth, by saying to your child, like, wow, you really didn't want to clean up, but you did it. You cleaned up, and now our house is safe and clean.
Got it.
That's it. And you don't have to do the rewards, because the rewards teach us from the outside in, and we want to teach it from the inside out. That's really the main thing.
Yes, with words. I love that, Kathleen. Yes, celebrate with words. Now, Tanya brought something up that I just want to share something that I started doing a few weeks ago that really has been working well in my home. Ignoring. Just my 3-year-old just started this beautiful thing of ignoring me completely because he's playing. And even if you're trying to give some positive sort of feedback, he's just like, I don't care what you're saying. I'm going to ignore you. So I noticed 2 things when I come down to their level, because when we're up and we're like, pick up your toys, I said, pick up your toys. And you're looking down at them. They're he was kind of looking up at me like, I don't feel like listening to you. So I've been coming down to his level and I've been whispering. It works so well. It works really well. So next time, for those of you who are being ignored, I started doing this and it really works well because he has to come closer. So if I'm far away, he'll leave the place where he's at and then he'll come right up to me and I'll say, pick up your toys. And then he's like, what? I'm like, pick up your toys. And it shows, and I also show it as a way of regulation where I'm not screaming and I'm bringing my voice down to kind of calm myself. And he'll just, I don't know if he's afraid of it, but he's like, okay. He goes back.
He has to really focus now.
Yes.
So a lot of times when children don't listen, when they're ignoring you, I'm just reading all these comments now.
Yeah.
When they're ignoring you, it's because usually you feel like they're ignoring you on purpose. They're so caught up in what they're doing. But when you go down to the level, like you said, and you make eye contact. That
Yes.
you actually make eye contact. Now, maybe you need to whisper first to get them to look at you.
Yeah.
But that when you're making eye contact, that's when the connection is made. So a lot of times we feel like, oh, my child's ignoring me, and it triggers us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Often it's really just because they are in there. You know, when that floor is lava, when my kid's jumping from one couch to the next because the floor is lava, the floor is lava. So if you're screaming at them from up there, they're like not gonna. The floor is lava.
Yeah.
You know,
important.
I love that whispering.
It really works. And Vanessa said whispering is very difficult. Trust me, I know. With everything that we're talking about tonight, the first step is really regulating ourselves. Because especially for me, I think that's one of my biggest triggers is being ignored. Because whether it's a child or an adult, being ignored just sucks. It's not fun to be ignored. And so that's what really kind of spikes your sort of internal feelings of like, wow, can somebody listen to me? And it could be a long day of being ignored all day. So the whispering kind of controls yourself too, I find. It's like, because you want to scream, nothing's going to come out of it. And another tip, one of my favorite tips from you that I've learned is sometimes I do that counting, right? It's like 1, 2, 3. It wouldn't work. They would just look at me. But you've taught me how to sort of, again, with that regulating, that deep sort of 1, and that really slow counting 2. And then that's kind of similar to the whispering. They're like, oh, this one's serious. Mommy's serious now.
So true. So just to really quickly tell everyone what that is, and then I want to respond. Kathy wrote something down there. But the counting is basically just, it's more for you than it is for them. It's the slow rhythmic counting where you don't like you said, you know, we're not saying like 1, 2, 2.5. I like you know, it's gonna happen when we get to 3.
Yeah.
But just a rhythmic, kind of monotonous 1, 2, 3, and you feel your brain start to kind of reach equilibrium because naturally that rhythm helps us reach equilibrium. And what it does for the children is exactly the same thing. And also, like I've told you before, when you have little kids, they like love any opportunity to start counting. Counting with you. They'll be like, this is fun. Are we counting now? Like, this is awesome. You know, and then you've broken it. You've broken that
exactly
kind of thing. But I just wanted to respond. I see Kathy down here writes, when we're talking about celebrations, should celebrations also be descriptive versus just saying good job? And I could literally do an entire 2-hour class on good job. I'm very against good job. It's like my and the reason why I'm against it, and I use that very lightly, is because when we say good job, it's like a cop-out. We don't have to actually even notice what's going on. My child comes to me having just drawn something and says, Mommy, look at this. Oh, good job. I don't even look at it.
Yeah.
So it's not so meaningful. But if I look at it and I say, oh, you drew 3 big circles, you're like, oh, she noticed what I did.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, the short answer is yes. When we talk about celebrating, it should be descriptive, but it doesn't have to be like flowery, and all you have to do is say what you see. What did you notice he did? He cleaned up. You cleaned up. Wow. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And if anything, it's actually easier but you have to be mindful of what's going on.
And again, it comes back to the connection.
Totally.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let's see. So now, COVID has changed everything. That's for sure. I mean, in terms of
Well, we're all just stuck in survival. That's what now. So it's hard. It's hard to regulate when you're.
Yeah, and Vanessa, so whispering is difficult, but I want you to try the tricks that we just tried, and I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna see if it worked. So now, let's summarize a bit of what you said. The 3 main points that are take-home messages. And then, I don't know if you have your book with you. Do you have any mantras? I love the mantras that were part of your book. Okay. Maybe there are some that we could start using tomorrow.
I'm going to look in a minute. So, so I'm going to take everything we just said and put it into 3. I actually have it written here because I wanted to really be clear in what I was saying. Number 1 is describe mindfully with positive intent. That means I see my child's having a hard time cleaning up, so I'm going to say it out loud. You're having a really hard time cleaning up because you were so excited to build this castle. So I'm describing it with that positive intent of you're, so excited to do whatever. So so number one is describe mindfully with positive intent. Number two would be set limits with an assertive voice. So not with a passive voice, not with an aggressive voice, but with calm, cool, collected. It is time to clean up so that we can go pick up your brother from school or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It is time to, as opposed to, are you ready to?
Yes.
That's where it becomes a little difficult. And then the last would be to give those positive choices, those two positive choices of would you like to do it this way or this way, both of which are going to lead to the same conclusion. But at least now I'm giving you that little bit of control and autonomy.
Yes.
So want.
Yeah.
Of course, that is what kids are looking for. They want that control.
Got
So, and then of course, celebrate. And I would even say that even in between when there's no conflict at all, that you should constantly be noticing what your children are doing and celebrating. So when a child it just throws something in the garbage, wow, you threw away your garbage. That's it. So that constantly through the day, you're having that feeling of celebration in the home.
Yeah. Got it.
If I had to take it all and put it into,
I like that. For those of you who are here, we'll be putting all that in a one-page sort of summary sheet, and then we'll be sending it out. Do you have any of these mantras? I love those.
Look, everybody. This is my shameless plug right now in pre-order time. So it will be, if you pre-order it now on Amazon, it will show up on your doorstep on September 15th, which is really around the corner. So I actually just had it here, giving choices here. Let me go to my mantras.
And while she's looking that up, she'll be leaving soon, and we'll continue our family meeting just for a few more minutes. Again, the goal of family meetings is also to discuss general successes and challenges that we've had during the week. So we'll take a few more minutes after that. I'll share mine, and then that'll be it for today's family meeting.
So I found one that I really like here, which I think can apply. I really do. And it says, I am not your enemy. I am here to help you work through feelings. In other words, in those moments when you're not listening, I understand that you're dealing with something. Continue what you're doing. I am not here to be your enemy. We're on the same team. So I really like that. I am not your enemy. I am here to help you work through difficult feelings.
Yeah.
Another one is, my job is to give you tools to succeed, not to punish you for your mistakes. So I'm not here to throw you in your room when you don't listen to me. I'm here to give you the tools so that you can approach this the right way.
I think those are important reminders, because when you think of conscious parenting, it's not about, I think there's a misconception that it's about letting things go, and it's not. This is the perfect balance of parenting, which is proven by research that it's a good balance between having boundaries and being strict about those boundaries, but also being sensitive. So showing that to your child that I'm not against you. There are rules, but I'm here to help you, like you said.
Yes, and I think that that's so important, because like you said, it's not permissive. We're not giving it. In none of these scenarios did we say we're going to leave the toys on the floor.
Exactly.
Allow the child to get out of bed and to whatever, that we're just going to help them. I see someone said I use that. This works with all relationships.
Apparently, yeah.
I mean, not in the same way, but the kind of communication, the positive saying, you know what, maybe my husband had a hard day at work. That's why he came home and he snapped at me or whatever. You know? So I love that. That's great.
Thank you for those mantras. It really is important for us to remind ourselves. And yes, Ilinka mentioned that she likes applying a 3-second rule when her child doesn't listen. So she goes to her child, she watches what he's doing for 3 seconds. So I like that, because you're taking the time to observe and then repeat what I said. Yeah. So that, I guess, gives you time also to control yourself and to take in what they're doing. So there are lots of ways. And I think it's important that we keep doing that, where we take the time to first observe. This has turned to relationships. This is now about relationships. I love this. It's true. That type of communication, it works.
Love it. As long as your husband, your wife doesn't look at you and say okay, I'm not 3 years old. Thank you.
They'll blame it on you now.
I love that. Yeah, blame me.
Yeah.
Buy the book and then you can see me.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
but I first of all, I love this whole concept you have here of this family meeting. It's so fun.
Thank you.
I'm
It
like,
really
I
is.
feel like I feel like I was like, you know, when you like invite your friend over for dinner with your
Yes,
family,
yes.
like, you feel like
That's
I'm
the
your friend.
point. Yeah,
Oh,
you
I
know
love
what?
it.
I came up with this because we had our first family meeting. Let me know, you guys, and if you're in the chat box, like if you have family meetings, because I just had my first one about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and I realized the importance of being open, saying anything you want, regardless of your children's ages. They were able to say, "Mommy or Daddy, I didn't like it when you did this," or "Mommy and Daddy, I would like you to do more of this."
Right.
And having that sort of open communication built a lot of connection together. And I think as parents we need that sometimes, because we don't realize, sometimes we don't know if we're doing is right, or we feel guilt for something that we're doing. So the whole point of these family meetings is to come together and realize, hey, we're going to scream at our kids sometimes, and that's normal. Our kids might not listen sometimes, and that's normal too. But let's together work into one sort of direction of that trust and that connection and that respect, between each other. That's the goal.
For sure.
Yeah. So
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much. I
Thank you for.
really had such a great time. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram, I have my website or whatever, maybe Cindy, you can.
Yeah, we'll
That's
put it. She's at Imagined Coach, and yeah, we'll
here. I'll
on
put
the
it.
one-page handout. Yeah, you can write it in the chat box, and then a one-page handout. We'll put your information as well. Thank you. So thank you so much again for
Thank
coming.
you for having me, and I
Have
hope
a good evening.
it's helpful.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye
Have a
bye.
good night.
Thanks.